You get back to the Masonic fraternity of Freemasonry.
Yeah.
Their great symbol is G. You'll look at the star on the compass, which is a stylized Star of David. In fact, they have the entire Star of David in many Masonic temples. Why is that? Masonry is a study of Judaism and of the Kabbalah.
The Jewish Tribune newspaper, on October 28, 1927, stated, "Freemasonry is based on Judaism. Eliminate the teachings of Judaism from the Masonic ritual, and what is left?"
Albert Pike said in his book Morals and Dogma that the Kabbalah is the very basis. Without the Kabbalah, we would not have the 33 rituals of the Masonic Lodge. But the God they worship, the great architect, is Moloch, the star god. If anyone tells me that the Jews were not placed under a great curse,
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told us one effect of such brand or type of magic. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَيَتَعَلَّمُونَ مِنْهُمَا مَا يُفَرِّقُونَ بِهِ بَيْنَ الْمَرْءِ وَزَوْجِهِ. They learn from these angels what could cause separation between man and his wife. This is a kind of magic. It's a magic spell that is cast on the husband or the wife, and it would cause hatred in the heart of the husband or the wife, and it would make it unbearable, and eventually it would cause divorce, separation. And
spoke several times before about ideological subversion. That is a phrase that I'm afraid some Americans don't fully understand. When the Soviets used the phrase ideological subversion, what do they mean by it?
Ideological subversion is the process which is legitimate, overt, and open. You can see it with your own eyes. All you have to do, all American mass media has to do, is to unplug their bananas from their ears, open up their eyes, and they can see it. There is no mystery. There is nothing to do with espionage. I know that espionage intelligence gathering looks more romantic. It sells more deodorants through the advertising, probably. That's why your Hollywood producers are so crazy about James Bond type of thrillers. But in reality, the main emphasis of the KGB is not in the area of intelligence at all. According to my opinion and opinion of many defectors of my caliber, only about 15% of time, money, and manpower is spent on espionage as such. The other 85% is a slow process which we call either ideological subversion or active measures, активные мероприятия in the language of the KGB, or psychological warfare. What it basically means is to change the perception of reality of every American to such an extent that despite of the abundance of information, no one is able to come to sensible conclusions in the interests of defending themselves, their families, their community, and their country. It's a great brainwashing process which goes very slow, and it's divided in 4 basic stages. The first one being demoralization. It takes from 15 to 20 years to demoralize a nation. Why that many years? Because this is the minimum number of years which requires to educate one generation of students in the country of your enemy, exposed to the ideology of the enemy. In other words, Marxism-Leninism ideology is being pumped into the soft heads of at least 3 generations of American students without being challenged or counterbalanced by the basic values of Americanism, American patriotism. The result you can see. Most of the people who graduated in the 60s, dropouts or half-baked intellectuals, are now occupying the positions of power in the government, civil service, business, mass media, educational system. You are stuck with them. You cannot get rid of them. They are contaminated. They are programmed to think and react to certain stimuli in a certain pattern. You cannot change their mind, even if you expose them to authentic information, even if you prove that white is white and black is black, you still cannot change the basic perception and the logic of behavior. In other words, these people, the process of demoralization is complete and irreversible. To get rid society of these people, you need another 20 or 15 years to educate a new generation of patriotically minded and common sense people who would be acting in favor and in the interests of the United States society.
And yet these people who've been programmed and, as you say, in place, and
Yes.
who are favorable to an opening with the Soviet concept, these are the very people who would be marked for extermination in this country?
Most of them, yes. Simply because the psychological shock when they will see in future what the beautiful society of equality and social justice means in practice, obviously they will revolt. They will be very unhappy, frustrated people. And the Marxist-Leninist regime does not tolerate these people. Obviously they will join the links of dissenters, dissidents. Unlike in present United States, there will be no place for dissent in future Marxist-Leninist America.
about some other magic that could influence the psychology and the spirit of people. Where was that learned? In Babylon. And how did they get it from Babylon? We know from the history that the kingdom of the Jews was destroyed by who? Nebuchadnezzar. The Babylonian kingdom, they defeated the Jews in the Holy Land and they broke up their kingdom. Not only that, they took them as slaves back to Iraq in Babylon. They took them back to Babel. And the Jews were cut off from the true religion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They were cut off from the scripture for quite a while. And they were under the influence and the dictatorship and the oppression and the tyranny of the Babylonians. And that is where a lot of the distortion that happened to the religion of Judaism, that is where it occurred. It occurred in Babel. Where was the Talmud written? And who wrote it? It was written by the 70 rabbis who were in Babylon. And now that is the central and the focus, that is the law and the central focus of the Yahud now. They have left the Torah and they are following a Talmud. And the Talmud was written by the rabbis who were influenced by the regime and the environment in Babylon. So if you read about this history, you find that Babylon is associated to it all. There's a lot of association with Babylon. A Talmud came out of there, and magic and these secret orders, they came from Babylon.
We start here with this clip. It's Donald Trump on the David Letterman show in 1986. They're inside his office and they show what's on his wall. We'll go ahead and play that now.
I have one more question and then we're out of here. It's the middle of a Friday afternoon. You didn't know we were coming.
Absolutely.
You said, come on up. How busy can you be?
I'm not busy. I have nothing to do. You know my truth? I have nothing to do. I wish I had more to do.
What would you be doing if you
I'll
could
go to
do it?
Louisville.
You should.
We'll do a couple of real estate deals in Louisville.
There's a spot over here down on the carpet. Look into that. Thank you very much. Bye-bye. All right, let's get out of here. Don't touch anything. Let's go. Let's keep going.
So they showed a quick shot of what's on his wall, and there was this plaque, this award on the wall with a tree and some Hebrew writing. And if you look a little closer, zoom in, you can't really see, it's blurry, but there's another picture of it online, and it's the Jewish National Fund Tree of Life Award to Donald Trump in recognition of his outstanding contributions to his city and to the real estate industry, strong humanitarian interests, and support of Israel, from Jacobson and Cohen. And this is Etz Chaim, that's what it says on there, and that's referring to the Tree of Life in the Garden of Eden. And Trump just did another video with Washington Post talking about his Jewish awards, and he talks about this award he got, the Tree of Life.
So these awards are given to me by the Jewish community for different things, and this is the Tree of Life, which is a very big award in terms of everything that I stand for. It means so much to me, and a lot of times I'll have friends of mine come in, Jewish, and they will see the Tree of Life and they'll say, wow, what a great thing. Likewise, right over here, this is the Shalom Humanitarian Award, and that was presented to me also. And these are different awards I've had over the years for different things I've done.
And this is the Tree of Life, which is a very big award.
Notice as he says the Tree of Life, look at the symbol he makes with his hand. I find that interesting. The MAGA OK symbol.
In terms of everything that I stand for, it means so much to me. And a lot of times I'll have friends of mine come in, Jewish, and they will see the Tree of Life and they'll say, wow, what a great thing.
Wow, what a great thing. So a little bit more on this award he got, the Tree of Life Award. Go here to WikiWand, and it says List of Honors and Awards Received by Donald Trump. We go down here to Honors and Awards. 1983, he got the Tree of Life Award. It is the highest humanitarian award the Jewish National Fund presents to one individual or family each year in appreciation of their outstanding community involvement, their dedication to the cause of American-Israeli friendship, and their devotion.
It's not just Trump that is connected to Chabad Lubavitch. Chabad Rabbi Ber Lazar is the chief rabbi of Russia. He is very close to President Vladimir Putin. The Jewish oligarchs at Putin's side are also the main financiers of Chabad Lubavitch. Jews control the wealth of Russia, and Chabad is a dominant force. They're not going anywhere. If this offends you, know that there are Russians who agree with me. Chabad can say whatever they want about Gentiles. Meanwhile, Putin is making it illegal to criticize them. A taxi driver in Russia was sentenced to 350 hours of community service for writing online that Jews dominate Russia and the world. Imagine what would happen if we were in Russia. Putin passed a law sentencing Holocaust deniers to 5 years in prison. Russia is virtually free of anti-Semitism. Putin is calling for Jews to emigrate to Russia. Jews destroy your country. Why would Putin be welcoming them into Russia? That's because they're not a threat. They've already destroyed Russia with Marxism and took it over 100 years ago. It's the West which they are currently destroying with cultural Marxism so that they can take it over. As Putin's Rabbi Ber Lazar puts it, the West lacks mutual respect, unlike Russia. Putin was Israel's Person of the Year in 2015, despite working with Syria and Iran. Reuven Rivlin, the president of Israel, says that Putin is loyal to Israel's security. If you read the comments on RT's videos, you might actually believe that Putin is against Israel. But Putin's Rabbi Ber Lazar says that ties with Israel have never been closer. Israel has a simple message. We don't put all our eggs in one basket. We don't rely only on America. Putin is arming the Arab and Muslim states and working with Israel exactly as the Soviet Union was doing. He's profiteering from the war in Syria. He's not there because he wants to defend Christianity. That's literally KGB propaganda. Putin supported Israel during their 2014 bombing campaign of Gaza. Chief Sephardic Rabbi of Israel, Yitzhak Yosef, said to Putin, "According to the Jewish tradition, your leadership is decided by the kingdom of God, King of the world, and therefore we bless you. Blessed is the one who gave of his glory to flesh and blood." The Sanhedrin contacted Breaking Israel News to announce that the election of Trump who has promised to recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel, coupled with Putin's expressed desire for the temple to be rebuilt, prompted the Jewish court to send a letter offering the two the opportunity to act as modern-day Cyrus figures, non-Jewish kings who recognize the importance of Israel and the temple. An Israeli bystander called out in Russian, "Welcome, President Putin." Putin approached the man who explained the importance of the Temple Mount and the Jewish temple. Shadrei Sharadim, an Orthodox Hebrew news site, reported that Putin responded, "That's exactly the reason I came here, to pray for the temple to be built again." Putin's on our side, says Beryl Lazar. Chabad Lubavitch, who is pushing to rebuild the temple in Jerusalem, wields tremendous influence in both Russia and Israel. When Ben-Gurion announced plans to rule the world from Jerusalem, calling for a world alliance and no more wars, that always included Russia. Some people will say, oh, but the Jewish media is against Russia. That media isn't pushing Israelis to go to war with Russia. It's pushing Americans to fight a war that they are not going to win. As you've heard earlier, the rabbis want a large war. When the dust settles, Putin will be fine, whereas the United States will be bled dry just like Germany after World War I and the Treaty of Versailles. Israel will take its place as the new superpower. There's so much more to this. We'll get into it in part 2 in the future.